Welcome back, everyone. We are returning from yesterday's recess. As indicated yesterday, we're back here at 11 a.m. Have the sheriff on the agenda. After this concludes, we'll be back this afternoon, back on what I think was our original posting, where we'll be visiting with JP3 at 1 o'clock. But for now, happy to have you here, Sheriff, Chief, Sidney, welcome.
Good morning.
I know we've had the chance to visit before. It's always a little bit more of a complex budget. You've got one of our, certainly the largest office in the county. I'll let you have the floor, Sheriff, and then there'll be some follow-up discussion. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure some questions,
No
too.
doubt. As always, we're trying to stay competitive, okay? And our goal this year would be to address salary situations. In that package, you're going to see some comparisons, and we can discuss those as we need to. There were some budget line items as well, some increases, just things cost more. But with that said, my first goal is to address the salary situation first. These the line item increases are needed, but we can probably survive and work our way through them. My main attention is going to be salaries this cycle. We have some things going on locally. The city's slated to get a pretty good raise, I think, effective in October. And this doesn't, if you address our salary situation at an 8% increase, it doesn't put us ahead, but it puts us nose and nose with them. We all know some of the struggles they've had as far as in retaining people. We have plenty of people, and this goes all the way down through the jail. We get applicants and we get them started, and you have that natural attrition where they come in and they work 6 months or a year and say, man, this is not for me, and I'm out of here.
Well, it's normally like you get 10, you can say, I'm probably going to get to keep 4.
Yeah. That's if they get through the background.
Yeah.
The background is very stringent with us. Sure. Anyway, so you have that natural attrition. We're always going to have that. But what we're trying to hold on to and not lose any ground on is, the ones that, okay, this is for me. This is a good career. And then in the jail specifically, they'll want a career out of it. We've trained them, taught them, and then they'll start looking around at neighboring counties, and they can go make an extra $1 or so an hour and have like a fraction of the workload because of the size of the facility. Our jail is pretty unique as far as in the size of it. Men and women back there, they bust their butts every day. There's 400 plus inmates is what we're trending right now. And that's only slated to go up a little bit. So we're really trying to just hold our ground and be competitive where we don't lose those other than like the natural ones that we discussed. 8% is a lot. That's a big ask. But if I didn't think, that's what it takes if you do the math. That's what we need to stay competitive. And that doesn't throw us ahead of every county by any means, but it will help out and keep us competitive. We're currently probably 25 short just in the jail. Last week alone, I lost 2 jailers that had been there well over a year to Lavaca County. About 3 weeks before that, I lost one to DeWitt County. And the pay is, they're going and making another $1 an hour or something like that. But it's mainly the workload, I think. We are a big facility that puts a lot of demand on those guys daily. You don't really know it unless you go walk alongside of them, and that they are extremely busy. Each year there's a new standard or something come down from the state, and there's another task for them to do. So the busyness of the profession is not going away, but we do need to hold on to what we've got.
Sheriff, how's your patrol staffing right now?
I have some vacancies there. typically how we work, I mean, we have hired some people from the outside to fill those positions, but I have some people inside slated to fill those positions. I could fill patrol up pretty quickly, but I'm slowing that process down because some of those are coming out of our jail.
Sure.
And it's no difference than the courts unit here that provides security for this building. We have a couple of vacancies. We've interviewed and boarded and selected those people. But for the time being, until we can get the jail built back up, they're going to stay where they're at. So it's just kind of a balancing act.
Gotcha.
Have you, we were visiting with pretrial services yesterday, and they indicated that a recent change in the legislature is going to make it to where you guys are gonna get a hell of a lot busier.
Yeah, Senate Bill 9, I think, is what it was. It's hard to tell the impact of that. That was driven, some of these larger cities were letting people out that would not have normally got released here. But when they did that, they put some hard requirements on who can bail out and who can't. So that will increase us. It's kind of hard to calculate how much,
Yeah.
but I know we will see an increase. Nora's working with us right now, trying to lower the population a little bit. My guess is in the next week or so. But I mean, she's going to help us out with a dozen or so people.
Right.
We have done some things internally, and I don't like doing it, but it's just, sometimes you have to deal with the situation at hand. Right now, we're currently not taking Class C inmates.
Okay.
Reading into the city's agreement with the county also, as far as in reimbursement for that, I did not bring that sheet with me, but when the city arrests one of their warrants and bring them to us, we bill them for that housing. If we arrest them, we're not billing the city, even though it's their charge and their arrest. That may be something, this is probably not the time or place to look at that, but whenever that comes up to be reviewed, I'd like to have some input and visit with y'all on that, because, we're out there trying to take people off the streets that need to be off. And a lot of times we make just as many arrests on city warrants as they do. But they're only reimbursing the county for the ones that their officers arrest, even though it's strictly just their inmate. But anyway, we've put a temporary pause on Class Cs right now. It takes effect today, actually. Everybody's been notified. Like I said, I hope that's just temporary. We just need to get our numbers back up, because we are in the business of housing people.
Right.
So
Yeah. So you're asking for an 8% increase across the board?
for the law enforcement, law enforcement and detention.
Oh, law enforcement detention.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and, well, I know when we originally visited, Sheriff, the goal was to be ahead of the competition, to, even with other entities in the area increasing theirs, the goal was to be the higher compensated office, and that was a higher percentage
Yes,
than
sir.
this.
It was. Anything above 8 would have pushed us above the mark, which is what the county's been holding for quite some time. Between the initial tier system that I was able to start 4 or 5 years ago, and then the Baker Tilly plan, and we had come up and above, and we're either matching or exceeding the city in a lot of areas. But those plans get stagnant over time if you don't feed them. And the city is obviously addressing their situation, and I just don't want to get caught off guard.
Right.
And
So currently, before their increases go into effect, we're actually a little bit higher.
at the starting level,
At the
yes, I believe
starting
so.
level. Okay.
Okay.
But obviously, there will be some substantial increases over there, but then to bring us even,
Was
it would
8%.
be the 8%. And that's largely how we arrived at the 8%, because frankly, the original discussion asked to maintain that higher level was around the 12%
Yes, sir.
range.
It was.
It became pretty clear as we got into the budget that there simply wasn't money available to do that. So the focus then became what amount at least achieves parity.
Well,
And that's how we came up with 8%.
And that makes sense. Also, too, if you have parity, then what's going to come out of it is career path. And that's where,
We're always going to excel at that. The city, you know, that
Yes.
you have patrolmen and investigations.
Right.
We have so many different avenues for people to take, from school resource officers to courts officers, transportation, interdiction. I mean,
okay,
kind of a full circle. So the ability for us to sell that, you know, there's come here, this is your career, you have paths. You may not know what path you want right now, but there's lots of opportunities out there. We excel at that. And I understand, I mean, 8% is I mean, that's a real number there, but, I don't want to not be able to at least match what's going on here locally. And then we have a problem on the street side, like we're struggling with the jail right now.
have you heard any rumblings as of late in regards to the increase that the city's getting and some people may, no?
I don't hear much. I guarantee you there's plenty of talk amongst the troops, but it doesn't filter up to me too much. I just, I'm aware of it, and you know, I've assured everybody the court always does what it can do. And y'all have always supported law enforcement. I do appreciate that.
Sheriff, if I'm looking at this correctly with the documentation that we were provided, it looks, even if moving your department up 8%, which I know would be very helpful, but in comparison to the document I'm looking at with the city, as far as the tenured employee, sergeant, lieutenant, and captain,
Yeah.
you'd still be, it'll make you competitive, but you're still behind that a little bit, even at the 8%. Would that be correct? what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
looking at?
My target was the new career people, the
Gotcha.
beginning.
Right.
A lot of times, by the time they've been there with us long enough to promote up, not that we don't want to properly compensate
Sure.
them, they're vested, they're invested with us, and those aren't the ones I'm necessarily worried about, because a patrol sergeant here isn't going to leave and go to the city as a patrol sergeant. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna have to work their way back up, just as a city sergeant would not come over here to my office as a sergeant.
Okay.
They would have to start at the patrol level. I can't speak exactly what the city would do. Desperate times or desperate situations, but it's really the entry level people we're
Okay.
trying to appeal to and hold on to.
And to be clear also, I know we've been referencing the city of Victoria a lot, and that's been in the headlines because they're doing their budget. They're a couple weeks ahead of us. But it's not just the city. This
Yeah.
is a
All around.
dynamic taking place in the counties all around us.
Yes, sir.
I know been some big conversations in Harris County, the city of Houston, the Sugar Land area, and then a lot of the rural jurisdictions around us that you referenced, Sheriff. So that trend is taking place elsewhere, and it is an effort to stay competitive. I would point out that in this sheet that y'all have in front of you, the pink column is inclusive of 3.8% attributable to the 27th pay period. So that net increase in pink is not fully attributable to this 8% concept. There's 3.8% is built into that as well. So that's the 8%, and then this one-time paycheck that we're grappling with that will not be a situation the following year.
Okay.
Okay. And didn't we, wasn't there like a grant we received the last legislative session for rural law enforcement? Is that still in play, or?
Yes,
is it-
sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good,
sir.
good.
Yeah, well, in speaking to that, I know that's being utilized. That was utilized initially the first year to help get up to the Baker-Tilly thresholds we were trying to reach, and that's still being utilized now
Absolutely.
to the fullest extent possible. And I'll point out additionally, the budget the court will be going through, really accomplishes a lot in spite of a tax rate that's at the no new revenue rate.
Okay.
One of the ways that we're able to prospectively achieve all of these things, well, it's due to a lot of different things, but one of those is also utilizing anticipated float in your office to the extent
Right.
reasonable, practical. Already, the county has, just anticipating a certain level of float. On the front end, we take a portion of that to be able to be as competitive as we are. And that's worked fine. That does, though, present the theoretical prospect of being much higher, more staff than normal, in which case it would be our responsibility to still cover that.
Yes, sir.
Even if in theory the office was fully staffed, which isn't gonna happen.
In
but-
theory,
So that's one of the ways that that makes this prospect, work, is that we're to an extent reaching even deeper into that anticipated float, plus the SB 22 money, that was
Right.
made available. That combined with several other things the county will be looking at doing, combined together make this possible. So there is some, I guess you could call it skin in the game in your office that I know we've discussed, but that's one thing that's making this possible as well.
you know, on the float I know y'all take the initial percentages at the front end, and then there's usually some at the tail end of the game. I don't do it every year, but, you know, one of the things I want to address this year, to an extent, I've got to see what the numbers really look like, but we've got pretty large comp balances. Some of the duties that these officers are tasked with canines and SWAT teams and stuff like that, they accrue a lot of comp and they're at the max. And so I try every couple of years to pay that
That's-
down just a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's just a liability off.
And a big number. Sydney, do we have a ballpark, Michelle, a ballpark on that?
Yeah, she would.
If we're sitting at the max, that's gonna be a pretty
I
stout.
can get that for you.
Okay.
I don't have it right now, but I can get it
Okay.
quickly this afternoon.
It's,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And like I said, there's no way, I'm not gonna take every 480 individual out there and pay them down to zero. That's just not gonna happen. We try to maybe cut them in half or just knock everybody down 100 hours. And that's really just putting a Band-Aid on a problem that will be there a year or two later as well. Like your canine officers, by state, we have to give them 16 hours of kennel time per month. Okay. That's just to compensate them a little bit for their time at home with that animal. And we're required to do that. Well, when they're working 171 hours already on a schedule, that's just, I mean, you can see how the comp banks can get out of control.
Is there a scenario where that could ever be mitigated? I mean, it seems like that's just a feature of the system, not really a bug. That's how it works. What would be,
Federal labor law is compensatory time. It's been time and time again, there's been that ruling that we have to compensate them, for the at-home care of
Yeah.
the dog. There've been some creative ways to compensate, and that's certainly something that we could do and think about, but understand that's releasing an officer 16 hours to go home that they're not on duty.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
counterproductive.
We've tried to flex some back, but just the nature of what they do and the call load itself, I mean, you're cutting somebody or somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have an idea in my head of what that comp number will be. I'm scared to say it. I guess we'll,
Uh,
I just messaged our finance officer, and she said it's a little bit of a tedious project, so.
okay. And we don't need that now, but just
Correct.
going through my head as we tentatively reach for additional anticipated float, we want to factor
We wanna
this
communicate
into the
to-
equation
Okay.
so that we're not grabbing the same dollar for different purposes. Having looked at that, I think there's room and ability to accomplish both these things, but we'll certainly need that number.
Okay.
Let's see, and Sheriff, I know in the paperwork you've given us, there was also, a request for a lot of just the normal cost drivers that have increased, auto expenses, supplies, food service and whatnot, uniforms, which I know, from where I stand now, I think we can incorporate some of that. All of it did not seem practical, but I know in our conversations, really the focus is on this, the pay scale.
Yes, sir.
Keeping that in line with the competition.
I think I kind of hand wrote a little note down there on that initial one. I was trying to increase the training budget by about 25,000. We are doing tons of training at the office. That's a pretty small increase compared to what we're doing. And as Guadalupe in the future comes down the road, that's only going to get stronger. You know, making us a little more professional agency as well as the region.
Okay, and that will also be a conversation that'll be forthcoming. I know it's been ongoing, the Guadalupe School.
Yes, sir.
Renovation. But we're looking at building into this budget the ability to do, some additional COs to complete even more of our capital projects on our list. We're gonna begin that discussion yesterday. It got postponed a bit. Fortunately, we don't need to make those decisions in order to balance this budget. The debt service is accounted for. But those projects, what makes the cut and what doesn't will need to be determined. And I know a big part of our, I guess, unfinished projects are out at the Guadalupe School shooting range.
Yes, sir.
I know we last week voted to partially fix the roof, but the whole thing probably needs to be addressed at some point, and so on and so forth. That'll, in the coming weeks, that'll be a
In
more
the
in-depth discussion.
in a few months, I mean, I am working on the backside of some funding sources potentially for the range.
Good.
I'm not ready to really talk about it yet. We're just not there.
Yeah.
Rest assured, y'all will be the first ones I visit with, maybe towards the end of October.
Okay.
Is what I'm hoping for.
Well, you know, in the CO for Guadalupe School, we're putting everything in as far as the initial, requests.
Yes,
We're
sir.
taking a few things out,
Yeah.
but the gun range obviously is in there, the necessities for electricity, septic, all that stuff is in there. Replacing the roof is in there.
Yes, sir.
It's a priority. You know, and I think we'll have more.
No,
We'll have more soon on all that.
It's greatly appreciated. And like I said, on the downside, I'm just trying to help for some funding.
If you could, that would be great.
we appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that would really be good. We can
Yeah.
put it toward that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that also have to happen just as far as infrastructure,
Correct.
you know, as far as electric.
Yeah, I
parking
visited with
lots,
John
septic.
when we started discussing some potential upgrades to the range, and I was like, as far as in septic, you don't have anybody going out there because, I mean, the size may fluctuate a little bit
Yeah.
as far as in the overall dynamics of that 8 acres back there.
Yeah.
And he told me that, you know, it's going to be funded, but nothing is started yet.
Yeah, there might be
And
a
I'm
few things
good
that were
with
at the bottom of the list that might not quite,
Yes, sir.
make it, that I believe that you'd even pointed out. I mean, that's for another discussion, but.
Right.
But rest assured, this is definitely a priority,
Thank you.
you know.
As far as vehicles go, we really didn't discuss that. I know back in the day, we would go a year, buy 6, nothing the next year, then make the purchase. Operation Lone Star really changed that cadence of purchases since we got numerous vehicles.
This
How
budget
was it-
cycle that we're currently in, y'all had approved us last year for the purchase of 3 vehicles. We have those in place now. Actually, I think one of them is in place. The other 2 are almost rigged out. So I did not ask for vehicles this year. Looking at e-grants for the Operation Lone Star, we had submitted for 3 more vehicles. That money is there, but I don't think it's liquefied yet where we can use it. So I'm pretty positive that we're going to be able to pick up 3 on the Lone Star grant.
In
It's just,
addition
it's
to
not
To the 3 we've
correct
already funded.
that we just purchased. So that's the last thing I try to hit y'all with, but every few years we have to.
Yeah.
But we've been able to control the fleet pretty well with Lone Star. Last year for this 25 cycle, I had come to the court and y'all had approved for 3. And those will be on the street pretty quick.
Cool.
That process itself is a nightmare because you can't find vehicles, and then when you do,
Yeah.
the line to get them upfitted is ridiculous. I don't understand how it can be a 1.5-year-old vehicle before I even get it, but
That's crazy.
that's what happens. And every other sheriff is dealing with the same situation.
Judge, I understand, I mean, with the software glitches and all that stuff with the issues, is this stuff, I mean, being that we are doing this kind of, with all due respect, we're doing it backwards, I mean, when we don't have any numbers in front of us, I mean, is this into the budget? I mean, you knew of this and this is all included in?
Yes, well, yes. We'll be getting the draft budget out to you by the end of the day today.
Okay.
But this absolutely is a top priority.
I agree.
Yeah,
First
it is.
responder competitiveness and compensation
I
is a
certainly
top
agree.
priority, so that was on the top of the list. As I was building out the budget, I think it is possible to do this.
When you say, you're talking about the additional ad.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the 8%, we're talking about,
Yeah, he's talking about the additional stuff.
I'm talking about I know, from what I understand, the 8%'s in.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 265, some, not all of it.
All right.
Some, Chris, do you recall, we'll have that on a spreadsheet.
That's
later
fine.
today.
I'm just saying, hearing it is in my mind, trying to
Yeah.
put things
Yeah,
together is all.
it wasn't all of it.
A couple of the items were trimmed a little, but, 90% of it, I would say, is in there.
Okay.
There's a few things on some of the supplies we're trying to use budget money this
Okay.
year to cover for next year. So we're working as
All
much
right.
as we can, trying to stretch everything
Yeah.
out.
and
Oh,
that-
y'all always do, and we know that.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a priority on here? Is this in a
My
particular order?
priority coming to the.
I mean, or
court
the whole
is
page, the whole
salary.
sheet's a priority?
Salaries?
The training adjustment would be important, as well as, auto expenses.
I'm just asking for
Yeah.
when I look at the budget, that's all.
Some adjustment to auto expenses in the training unit
Yeah.
would
Okay,
be important, but like I said, the court's dealing with a whole lot of challenges this year, I understand that.
certainly,
Salaries utmost are priority
Certainly.
for this office.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Really appreciate all this, it really
Yeah, it's
helps.
good stuff. It's good info.
All right, what else might we need to know, Sheriff?
Other than that, we're just trucking along, just trying to hold ground. Hiring a few new people in the jail, so that's always a positive thing. Summertime's always been slow for us on recruitment. I don't know why, but it just is. So we're doing what we can to hold our ground there and hold on to what we have.
Judge, if it's all right, I have one, and then maybe
Sure.
a follow-up question for the sheriff. Back when I was in the DA's office and Commission on Jail Standards would come around, we would all sort of hold our breath.
We still do.
Well, I see, while, T close may be T cold now and names change, some things don't change.
Yes.
We were apprehensive numerous times due to the staffing in the jail, that we were going to basically be told by Commission on Jail Standards, you guys don't have enough staff to handle your inmate load. You're gonna have to ship some people out.
Yeah.
And that was never a good scenario, and that was years ago when, having to pay out $35 a day to Nueces County was big money.
Yeah. No, that's still the ultimate nightmare I don't want to ever live. I don't think anybody here does.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why, I think addressing the salaries will help us hold some ground. It may not fix everything. Those men and women, it is an extremely busy job
Hell, yeah.
compared to other detention facilities. And it's just because of the sheer size.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And now
Yeah, I bet.
Makes it smart.
you're probably looking at about $75 a day minimum if we had to house inmates somewhere. And that's if we worked out a friendly deal with the sheriff.
Yeah.
That would get expensive very quick.
That would not be in our best interest.
No.
I was having a sidebar conversation. You're not talking about a new jail, are you?
In time, that's never,
Okay, just.
No, that's coming, that's coming.
it's unfortunately, as much as I don't want to say it,
I
that
think
is
it's
in our
the-
future.
It's the elephant in the room, I believe.
It
Yeah, it
is.
is.
It is.
And it's gonna, it's gonna take all of us. It's gonna be a team effort to
Certainly.
sell
Yeah.
it to the community.
Yeah.
A little better than some of our school bonds have. Hopefully,
it's
we're a little
definitely
more
gonna have to be an
successful
effort,
than that.
Yeah.
And I've
I
had
agree.
the opportunity to meet with Sheriff Marr and Chief Franklin numerous times, and also sat in on the jail commission inspection reports. And yes, it is the elephant in the room.
Yep.
But there will be a time where we will, or somebody up here will be faced with having to move forward with a new facility. The age of that facility, there are some significant infrastructure
And the
needs and-
structure of it as well. The
Right.
standards have changed as far as
Correct.
in scans and,
Plus also too, you can only put a Band-Aid on stuff for so long. And
yes, sir.
that's the way.
I know I've got to sit in several of those meetings, and it's the same thing every time. The sheriff and his people do an absolutely wonderful job with what they have to keeping this together. There's always some little bitty minor thing,
Yeah.
but they always praise y'all on what you're doing with what you have. And like we said, it's just it's the elephant in the room. The day's coming.
Yeah.
And hopefully the community will, we'll have to do a good job of showing everybody what.
When that day's here, it'll be a team effort.
And we'll certainly be on board.
Yep.
Sir.
I had one little quick follow-up about the jail. You know, we were constantly in and out of that jail when I was over there, and unless you're kind of in the back of the house, you really don't realize everything that's going on back there, especially when it's full, and we were perpetually full, which was one of our issues
Yes.
at that time. I really don't sort of read the things that come down from T-Cole anymore, but I understand that to be a jailer now, you're required to have a good bit more training, et cetera, than, back in the dark ages when, we were there.
The state licensing is 120 hours. And then that's just the start of it. Is it 144? I stand corrected. I forgot about the defensive tactics. Yeah, it is a professional.
They have to read verbal judo.
No, that's lots of hands-on and mats. There you go. No, yeah, it's a profession, and
Yeah.
the state holds us to that standard. It's very busy. I can't stress to you, if you walked back there for 2 hours, just shadowed one of the guards, your mind would be blown. There's no stopping. A patrolman, not to knock on them, but they can go handle a call and find a shade tree for a minute and do some paperwork.
99,
Well, they can do some paperwork and this and that, and your jail guys never stop. They just don't. There's always a call for them to do something, whether it's a scan. And understand, when you've got a big facility like that, some of those inmates are scanned every 60 minutes, some of them every 30 minutes, some of them every 15 minutes. And then the amount of mental illness that's out there and the suicide situations that we deal with was not like that 20 years ago. And our facility is definitely not built or designed to hold or house those inmates. So we have to go above and beyond even some of the 15-minute scans just to prevent somebody from harming themselves or something like that. And the constant hospital trips, those are the jailers. We have a bunch of them that we have trained to be armed jailers outside of the facility. They have to go to the hospital with them constantly. I mean, it seems some days, I think we've had 3 or 4 hospital trips in one day. And a lot of that boils down to the mental illness that's inside that facility and the type of people we're dealing with. It's a different beast than it was 27 years ago when I started back there.
I'll say one thing that I get different times. I always bring it up, but I get to unfortunately, interact with deputies for things in the precinct and stuff, and I won't name their two names, but the other day that I dealt with, and man, every time I engage with any law officers from the county, it's just, I mean, I can't say enough.
We're blessed with a
Professionalism and how,
professional staff.
and the way they act and handle themselves is, I mean, I see it not just around me, I mean, I'm standing there with the public, and it's just, the other day, this person was a little, not totally combative, was kind of being a horse's patoot, and they were handling it pretty good.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
I would have handled it a little different.
how they handle it or maybe how they want to handle it are usually different.
Well, they handle it the right way.
They handle it the right way.
Yeah, yeah.
There's
yeah.
no doubt.
No, but once again, thank y'all. I mean, appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we want to keep that going and keep that strong.
Heck, yeah, I've never had a bad situation.
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't think we have any additional questions. Appreciate your time. Sheriff Chief.
Absolutely.
Sydney, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sydney. Thank y'all, everybody.
All right.
Gentlemen, y'all have a good afternoon.
Y'all
Thank
too. Y'all too. Thank you.
All right, well, we are ahead of schedule, wrapping up 20 minutes early, I think. Chris, do we have anything now we need to address?
I don't believe so. We have Judge Whitaker at 1 o'clock,
1 o'clock, okay.
followed by Constable Precinct 3 at 1:30.
Okay, and let's see, so I believe, yeah, at 1 o'clock is when we were already posted to return. So for this meeting that rolled over from yesterday, we will stand adjourned and be back here this afternoon at 1 p.m.